So again, thanks for joining. Today what we're going to be discussing is saving data capacity by moving email content to Azure Blob storage. That's a huge mouthful, a lot to say, and hopefully we're going to show you basically how you can do this, right? So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the new common data service storage model. Okay, this is what we're used to here with Dynamics, right? We have the traditional model where everything's lumped into one big database storage. Microsoft has now gone and broken this up basically into three major components, right? Where you store. So you're going to have three separate, instead of one, you now have three. You have your database capacity, your file capacity, and your log capacity. The main one that we're concerned with here is our database capacity, right? So basically what you get when you get Dynamics is you get 10 gigabytes of database capacity plus 250 megabytes per each user that you have in there. So if you have a dynamic system with 4 users in it, you're basically going to have 11 gigabytes, right? So the breakpoint is every 4 users you get another gig of data. Okay, so real simple to do. You can do that math yourself. You know how many users you have, so you know how many extra gig you get. The big thing here is the additional storage. If you kind of go over that, you're basically going to be paying 40 gigabytes per month. Now, this doesn't sound too bad. It sounds like a lot of data, but as you can kind of, you'll see here as we proceed, this adds up really, really quickly. All right, and then another thing that I do want to point out is these are the current numbers. So you can kind of take this and you can follow these links and you can see, where we got this information from. Okay. So that being said, let's talk about what the main thing is here, and that's about with our what really fills up our database. This may not seem like much, but as you're tracking emails into Dynamics, it takes up space, and you're like, well, wait a minute. I have a email's only 9K, right? But I have all these nice features. This is basically like what we're going to see here in Outlook, right? So I have like different links. I have tables. It's real pretty, really easy to see. I have the social media links. I have images, all that kind of stuff, and it's really small. So no big deal that I track this into Dynamics, right? Because I want to save my data. I want to have it all in there, everything that I do. But so what you really need to think about though is when we do things like, for example, like we'll forward that email to someone, and that gets tracked in Dynamics. Or we'll reply to it. That also gets tracked in Dynamics. So you end up with these big, long email chains, right? I mean, how many times have you written an email to somebody that's been this big, long chain, and that actually, each time it kind of basically like when you reply to something and you add your email onto the bottom of that, you're sort of like adding on to that. So you're taking up more space, okay? That basically eats into your data capacity, right? So if you think about it, just one email, no big deal, but lots and lots, several emails, a lot. But let's talk a little bit about here. Like here we have the same email, and this is in plain text. It's the same exact email, plain text, but the big thing here is instead of being 9K, this is under 1K, right? So what does that mean for us? Basically, what that means is that if we convert those emails and strip the HTML and everything like that out of them, we'll save on our database capacity over the long run. So a big example here is one of our customers here that we, one of our customers that we started working with this, using our product on, had a grand total of 1.5 million emails roughly. Okay, the table size, the activity pointer table size was 78 gig. Okay, the largest email in there was 8 megabytes, and that was an email that had been forwarded, had been replied to. People were adding images, things of that nature to it. So it's a really large email, and the top 1,000 emails equal to 572 megabytes. All right. So knowing that, you can kind of see that they went over capacity really, really quickly with this. Got really expensive. On the other side there, though, we have the Azure Blob storage that you have access to. You can get your Azure Blob storage. One nice thing about Azure Blob is that the files basically are stored in Azure Blob, and it costs next to nothing basically to store those files there. Okay, so how do we leverage reducing the database capacity with Azure Blob and reducing these email sizes? Well, what we basically do is we have Attachment Extractor, and what Attachment Extractor does is it moves the rich email content to the Azure Blob. So basically what it does is it takes that email that you've got in Outlook and basically strips all the things out of it and saves that information over to the Azure Blob, right? And then it saves a plain text version, which we saw was a lot smaller, into your Dynamics database there. Okay. Now the thing is, this is like, I know you're probably thinking to yourself like, okay, well, it's really kind of hard to read those plain text emails. Well, the nice part is what we do is when we actually open up the email record, we retrieve the rich email and put it back basically into, we put that information back into that, so you have that nice looking email when you're actually looking at the email record. So it's one of those things where it's like, you save in space, but you can still get the benefit of being able to see the email, how it's supposed to look and everything. This is where it really comes together, right? So we did a little experiment. We started playing around with it just so we could get this information for you. And as you can see here, we pushed a lot of emails to our demo database, to our demo system, right? And then basically we started the attachment extractor, and what we found is in about 3 days, we had basically extracted 70,000 emails, okay? And it's roughly around 850 megabytes a day, or basically 23,000 emails a day. Over those 3 days, it reduced that database size by 60%, okay? So to kind of put that into perspective for you, as far as like, as a savings overall in those 3 days, basically it gave us a savings of roughly around 110 USD a month. So the annual savings for that is 1,320 USD or US dollars. And that is basically, that equals the annual cost of a extractor license for 30 users. So basically this in itself pays for itself. And then, you're adding emails and things like that constantly to it. So you're always going to be reducing your database size and keeping your database in check. So that's the big thing. That's the big thing to note, is that you can actually reduce database size very quickly. I mean, it'll help you out very quickly. I mean, it depends on the amount of emails, but this is kind of what you can expect over time and how much savings you can expect over time using this. So what we're going to do for our demo today is, I kind of want to show you where you can actually view, the graph that I just showed, where you can view that and how you can get an idea if Attachment Extractor and extracting these emails, excuse me, is going to work for you. Show you the step-by-step setup of this on how to set this up. If you're already an Attachment Extractor user, or you kind of want to set this up to give it a try, I'm going to show you how to do that. I mean, it's really simple. And what this is going to look like for you inside of Dynamics 365. Okay. So let me go ahead and flip over here to my demo system here. And again, this is just adminpowerplatform.microsoft.com/analytics/capacity. Brings you right to here. Basically what you're looking at here, again, this is our demo system, so this isn't going to look the same for you, but the main thing is here, over here in this little table right here, you have your database capacity, how much storage you actually have, your three containers there. So your database, your log, and your files. This is how much you have. Usually this is like 10 gig here. Then your user licenses, how much extra storage you have because of your users, and then additional capacity that you actually need. So you can see all that right here, right? That's really what you're looking for here, is the additional capacity that you have needed. And this one right here will let you know, like, hey, can I if I want to bring this down, do I need to bring this down or not? Now, to get to that really nice graph to where you can actually see it, here what you want to do is you want to go to storage capacity and then pick your instance here. For example, I'll pick this one. Give this a little bit of a minute to whirl, and pull everything back. It just takes a few seconds. And here, what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for this activity pointer base. As you can see here, yours is probably going to look a little bit different from this. It's not going to have such big jumps because we just kind of dumped a lot of emails to it. But you'll be able to see this. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. See that, and this is where you can actually monitor attachment extractor working as well. So this is a good place to kind of look at that. Now with the new way that they're kind of breaking up the database and the files and everything like that, it used to be that your attachments and your notes used to be the big culprit here. Now it's this activity pointer base with all the tracking of emails and things like that to it. So if you kind of look at this and say, hey, yeah, definitely I want to kind of put this into my system, how do I set it up? Well, it's really simple. I mean, basically you can go to our website. You can log in here, go to, let's see here. Yeah, I just usually just go to, what I do is I just log in, go to my accounts, and then go to my cloud storage or my cloud services. And then here, basically, you want to pick Attachment Extractor. These are all my services, all my documents, core pack, and Attachment Extractor services. Here, what I want to do is set up a new Attachment Extractor service, and it's really simple. So all I have to do is hit Add Service. Okay. Set up my connection profile. Here, you do need to select the online server to server. You just insert your organization name, the organization URL, and retrieve the organizations. It's going to take you to Microsoft's website where you can log in. So here, I'm just going to log into our demo system real quick. Sign in. And that'll pass everything back. And I have my organization here, and I just need to verify the connection to save the profile. Now, this takes a little bit, does a little bit of checking behind the scenes. This is basically checking connectivity, checking to make sure that my user has the correct permissions. You do need to be a system administrator in in Dynamics to actually do this. So it just kind of checks those permissions and then saves that connection. Once you're done with that piece, there is not much else to do here. We're just doing a little speed check, getting you into the right database. So here, the extraction mode that I'm going to be doing is for email content. These are separated now. You can do attachments or email content. Here you have a little bit of a warning that you kind of need to read through, but basically it just says that, hey, we're going to be extracting data from your Dynamics 365 CDS environment, okay? And it will be moved to the SharePoint or Azure Blob. So you just have to confirm that and let it know that, hey, you actually want to extract this. So it's really, really simple from here on out. What I need to do is get the Azure Blob storage connection. And the easiest way to do that I found, there's a couple different ways to do it, but the easiest way that I found is using the Azure Storage Explorer. Okay, so you have here on the Azure Storage Explorer, you have your different storage accounts that you're connected to. Here I've got the one. This is my blob container that I'm actually going to be using. To get that, I go to Get Shared Access Signature and just right-click. Then here I have my start time, when this is going to be valid till, and then my end time. So I'm just going to make this for a year. Make sure you give it enough time because once this is up, there is no warning. It'll just start failing, right? So just make sure you give yourself enough time, or whatever you feel comfortable with. You can set this yourself. And what Attachment Extractor actually needs is it needs read, it needs write, it needs delete, and those are the three. Those are the three permissions that it needs. Okay. From there, I just create, and then here the URI, I just copy this to get my shared access signature, copy it up, and then bring it back over to here into my configuration, paste that in there. That's all I have to do. Okay, set this for extraction. It's already done. And then I have to actually set here 1 hour is the minimum amount of time that we can do, but you can do days, weeks, months, years, if you want to, keep that stuff in there. Usually what I say to people, like if they hey, we want to keep those emails in there, we want to keep them in a readable format for 2 weeks, just go ahead and set it for 2 weeks. Shouldn't be a huge problem, but 1 hour is the minimum. After that, we're going to save the service. I'm not going to do this right now because I already have one set up and it's going to tell me that I can't set another one up, but save the service, and then it'll probably take about, roughly around 10 minutes for it to shove the configuration into your dynamic system. And then you're good to go. You set it to run and it just starts working right off the bat. So really, really simple setup. I mean, there's a couple things that we changed to make it a lot easier. And so it's really easy. So you can be up and going, if you started, when I started this webinar, you're probably done and already extracting emails before I'm done with this webinar, right? So now that we've seen that, how easy that is, let's take a look at it actually in Dynamics to kind of show you what it looks like. So let me go to account here, and I'll go ahead and take this particular account here. This is one that we, again, we've shoved a lot of emails to this, so there's going to be a lot of the same emails in there, but I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. So I have all my emails here in the timeline. If I kind of open this up, you can see here the plain text. Now this is one thing that I do have to say to you, is that in the timeline or any kind of bulk views of the emails or anything like that, you are going to see the plain text, right? It doesn't make sense for us to try to stream this stuff back when the timeline can show 100 emails. That's every time you access a record, we're streaming this stuff back for 100 emails. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? But if I go ahead and I view that email content, you can see that it streams right back, right? So I have my email, I have my rich email content in there. Again, I can flip through it. And one of the nice things here that you can actually see down here at the bottom, here's a little markup. This can be, you can set this kind of for what you want, but it's basically, it lets you know that this has been extracted. This actual email has been extracted. Kind of lets you know that it's done that. So you can see here the streaming process is really, really quick. I mean, if I can I'll go back here and just kind of show you this again, just in case you missed it. So here we just got to wait for the timeline to load itself. And then I can take another email here and see, and then view my email content. And then the whole streaming process takes place like very, very quickly. That's the Azure Blob. Using the Azure Blob is just, the Azure Blob is just so quick. So, it's really great. Okay. So let's see, let me flip back. All right. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. Again, stay healthy. We are still in the midst of the whole COVID-19 thing, and hope everybody out there is staying healthy and wearing masks and washing your hands and everything like that.